right, welcome back to another episode of the SteadyChat. I don't know why I'm introducing it like this. Today we're talking about how many dates are enough dates before you sleep together, and we're gonna debate the crap out of this because we disagree.
We definitely have differing ideas.
We disagree heavily. Anyways, so. Some of the notes that I put down is does sexual compatibility exist? Is there a hard and fast rule to how many dates should you wait before you sleep together? And then are there mental constraints that develop when you sleep with someone? Meaning that does your mind change after you sleep with somebody? Cool. All right. Does sexual compatibility exist?
Define what you mean by that.
Sexual compatibility?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know what people mean by that.
Okay, fair enough.
Like the reason why I put this question in there is because recently, a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago, I saw a tweet and this woman said sexual compatibility doesn't exist. It's just an excuse to sleep with somebody. It's pretty much what the premise of the tweet was.
Interesting.
And so when you think of compatibility, you think, all right, well, when you and your fiance are talking, like, not talking, but like we're talking or whatever.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, well, you like music? Oh, I really like music too. What kind of music? I like rock music. Oh, cool. Like I play in a band. Oh, really? Like so different stuff like that.
Right.
And so then you find those compatibilities, right?
Yeah.
Does sexual compatibility actually exist?
I think so.
Okay. Why?
For sure. Why wouldn't it? Like, people are into different things. Like, people have different kinks. People have different things that they're into. Like, maybe some people are into, like, BDSM, like super stuff. Like, that's like very out there.
So do you think do you think you need to do you think you need to find your sexual compatibility when you're dating and the lighting is changing? Oh, the cloud left.
Goodbye, cloud.
Okay.
Yes and no. So I think it kind of just depends on how important that is for you. This kind of goes back into what we were talking about in the last video. In case you missed it, check it out.
Where before this?
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes into what we're talking about with, like, you need to know what you're looking for. Like, if you really, really need somebody who, will go along with what you, want or need, sexually, then that's important for you. Like, your relationship likely won't last, or at least won't be in a good place, without that. Like, that ends up being, why sometimes people will cheat, because they get bored, or they just feel like they're not complete. They're not getting what they need out of their, sexual relationship that they have with, their partner. And so they go and try to find that satisfaction elsewhere. And that also happens over just even like the years go by, and people get bored of doing the same thing or whatever all the time, and so they're just like, oh, like I want to find or get something new to happen or try out something new, and so they go to look for that. But if you find somebody that you're sexually compatible with, then that'll help alleviate a lot of the the pains that can go along with that.
So You raised a lot of points in there.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah, and I don't want to address all of them.
Okay.
So I think no. Okay, so for me, I don't think sexual compatibility exists.
Okay.
I think sex is a learnable skill. Sex is something that's learned. And people actually don't like that I say this. People also don't like when I say that singing is a learnable skill.
But it is.
Singing is a learnable skill.
Well, okay. I 100% agree with where you're going with, but before you go and explain the whole thing, that's not exactly what I meant. I more so mean preference, not capability. Do you understand what I mean?
Capability in sex, capability is the thing. So because it depends on the so this subject is not going to get us monetized on YouTube, and that's fine. We can put it on Odyssey, we can put it on Speak, we can put it on anything else, right? And Speak's not out yet.
We'll get there.
Yeah, eventually. But there are women that have complimented my skill. I will be the first one to say I don't know exactly what I'm doing whenever I've had sex.
Okay.
But they will say that I'm very good at it.
Okay.
Okay. I believe that is just. I believe that is a skill that was learned, and I did, I guess, learn over time.
Right.
The more that I had sex.
Yeah. And some people are naturally better than others, and
when you're talking about kinks, when you're talking about different things that people are into, that should already be talked about, like before any like sexual relationship starts, and like it's not like you're not gonna be on your first date and be like, yeah, I can't even say it.
Oh no!
I like it from the back. Yeah. Let's just go with that. I like it from the back, and not like the good back, but the other back, the dirty back. And then the other person might be like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then you would say, is that a deal breaker or not?
Right.
And you really have to put in perspective how important sex is to you, right?
Exactly.
So for me, all our friends know, and in fact, all of us love sex.
It's great.
It's so good. It's so great. Okay, but it is, for me. It is not nowadays. It's not the most important thing that I'm looking for in a relationship, because I'm gonna get it. Like in the relationship, I'm eventually going to get it. There are a lot of things that I need to look for before I get into that. Right, and like I do make it known, like, hey, after a certain time, we start getting pretty serious. Like listen, whenever we start having sex, I'm gonna want to have sex all the time. And for me, I usually say whenever we get married, I'm gonna want to have sex all the time, especially in the first year, like all the time, like morning, afternoon, from lunch break, evening, midnight snack.
And some people aren't gonna. Some chicks aren't gonna be into that.
And some chicks aren't into that, and they need to be able to rein in the expectations, right? So like with my ex, she like I would say like, yeah, 3 times a day or whatever. She's like, maybe like once or twice a day. I'm like yeah, you're also a virgin, so you don't know.
Well,
so like it could be completely different, but like I then was able to rein in my expectations, right?
Right.
So I don't believe that trying to find sexual compatibility exists. I don't think that you need to have sex in order to know if you're compatible with them. I think you can bring up different things and kind of find out if you're into the same things.
Right, I agree. I think through conversations you can kind of figure that out.
I don't think you need to have sex in order to find that.
Agreed.
I don't think you need to what do they say? Milk the cow before you buy it.
Very well.
That and that'll go into the other thing that we get into.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to again decipher how many dates. I'm looking at the time to make sure that we're not going super long. How many dates are enough dates before you sleep together? All right. So, is there a hard and fast rule?
Negative.
So there is no hard and fast rule, but there are highly regarded suggestions that I always take.
Highly regarded by who?
So by people that I respect.
Okay.
That I cannot say.
Okay.
Or else we will get canceled.
Oh. Well.
Yes. So I would rather not do that in the 3rd episode. But 2 of them would be my parents.
Right.
Their family friends. And then other podcasters and different people that I generally respect.
Fair enough.
I do not think that you should have any sex as so my suggestion for the audience would be as long as possible.
Okay.
The suggestion for me personally is until you're married, because my ultimate goal is to get married. My ultimate goal is to not just date forever and then just kind of exist together in the same house and be partners. I want a wife, and I want a wife that wants a husband, and that comes with some expectations or some requirements from each person, right?
That's going to turn into a whole nother video, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool. You better write it down. So no, there is no hard and fast rule.
Okay.
Because in life, people are going to make their own decisions. We live in America, the greatest nation in the world, and we get to decide if what rules we decide to follow outside of like killing people and raping people and different stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Like you can't just do that. There are laws that you have to follow, but we get to decide like, oh, this person doesn't just want to always have sex, then okay, I don't want to be with that person. Or this person wants to eventually get married. Okay, well, I don't want that. All right, cool. And you get to make those decisions. So no, it's not a hard and fast rule.
Right.
But to achieve a lot of the happiness, you communicate. You always talk to that person, and B, I really think we've lost the what marriage is supposed to be as a society and as a culture. We've lost the purpose of dating. The purpose of dating is supposed to be eventually getting married, and in general, dating was actually supposed to be courting, because you're getting to know somebody to see if you want to marry that person. Right. You're not talking to that person just to have another friend. You have an ultimate goal. You don't date them for no reason. Right. So I think that is where I stand on that. No hard and fast rule, but high suggestions to not have sex either as long as possible, and I'll get into why in just a second, as long as possible, or until you're married.
Okay, so I think that there definitely shouldn't be a rule to it. You can't put a timing on feelings. And I feel like sex is definitely one of those things where it kind of goes along with the emotions. Like I feel like you don't need to force it. Like, it's not something like, oh, I have to try to have sex with this person like as soon as possible. But if things go there naturally, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't go with that. So I do agree that waiting longer isn't a bad thing. Like, especially like you should wait at least, Jesus. That was really loud. You should wait at least a little bit. Like it shouldn't be like, you should try not to do it on like the first date. It shouldn't be like the first time you guys meet and that's what you go into. But I actually agree with that.
I know you do.
She's so what our producer said is that some people need the physical connection to make the emotional connection stronger. Yo, life's hard. And I actually agree with that. Because I think people are different. I think people need different things. Some people, I mean, if we really want to get into this, we can get into, love languages, and the type of love language that somebody has can affect how important, physical touch is to them in comparison to, other areas.
We debated this.
We did.
And we said physical touch doesn't have to mean sex.
It doesn't have to be.
And hold on. And the same thing with this. Some people need physical connection to make the emotional connection stronger. The physical connection can be literally something as simple as holding hands, cuddling, kissing. It's like the main things. Yeah, pretty much. Those are like the main things, and you can make those connections stronger like that. Right. Like, not my previous ex, but the ex before that. Okay. She was very much like a touchy person. Like she wanted to be like touching you in some way. Right. Like it could just be like her foot is touching my foot, and I'm like, why is your foot there? She's just like, I just need to like touch. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. Like, I'd much rather cuddle, but like,
whatever.
To each his own. Like, and I don't even like that phrase. But she likes that, and whatever. Right. I don't think you need sex in order to do that. Sex is a totally different thing.
Disagree.
No.
I don't think it's a different thing. I think it's like a level to it.
Holding hands is a completely different thing than having sex. Cuddling is a completely different thing than having sex.
Okay, if we're gonna say they're all totally different things, then yes, obviously, like the actions are all entirely different.
No, I mean like the literal. So the reason.
I'm like, what do you mean?
So the reason why I say to wait as long as possible to have sex is because say you go on a date with a chick, and the reason why I say chick is because I'm from California. By the way, I don't mean it disrespectfully.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah, like. It's just a thing that I'm from California. This is what we say. But you go on a date with a woman, and you guys hit it off, and you have sex, and you think the sex is great, and you're just on cloud 9, right?
Right.
And then you wake up in the morning, and I don't know. What's like something like okay, you wake up and then you see an immediate deal breaker that you would not accept for a second date.
Okay.
That happens more often when you have sex extremely early, and as guys you just say I'll just let that go because like I'm having sex. I'm just trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
I'm having sex. And so then there are these other things that you would usually not allow, like say she starts nagging you immediately,
right,
that you're like, your room is clean. It's like, well, we were drunk and we kind of moved around a lot in the room and so it's dirty. And she starts like in your ear like, oh my god, your place is so dirty, yada yada yada. And that would be like extremely annoying. And it's like, well, I wouldn't usually accept that, but you're like, she's on my bed, and we were already talking maybe like a little bit before that, to like we're gonna have more sex again, so I'm gonna let that slide.
I don't agree with this at all. I actually really hate it. I really think that's an unfortunate place to be, where somebody feels that they're tied down for like, oh wow, I got to have sex, so now I'm just gonna kind of like whatever, like I'm gonna let things pass because. At least personally, I'm not like that. And I know that if I'm not like that, there's other people that are also not like that.
I understand that.
That's why I'm like, I think it's that some people are like that. I feel like, yeah, some people, that might be a thing where like, okay, because, you were able to, have sex with this person, that you're now going to kind of, let things slide. But I don't think everybody's like that. And so I think that it should be you knowing yourself and knowing what works and is good for you. So if you're the person who is able to stand your ground and to stick to whatever your values and your morals are and the things that you're looking for, and you're like, yo, this isn't it, so I need to move on, then you should be able to have sex when you want to.
Do you think that would be easier or harder once you've had sex?
For me, it literally wouldn't matter.
Okay, I'm trying to make more of like a general statement
for people.
Yeah,
okay.
General. Like not like in the average, not like an exceptional Marine like yourself. Asshole.
Jesus. Honestly, I think in nowadays society where finding somebody to have sex with is much easier, I feel like it shouldn't have as much weight anymore.
Do you think finding someone to have sex with is easier for men than it was before dating apps?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because it's easier to lie and kind of just do what you want to through dating apps. Like, you can use them to find other people who are like-minded. Because it's kind of that thing. You go to the bar and you see, this, attractive girl there. I don't know either.
Okay, continue.
Like, so traditionally, especially before dating apps, how you met people was by physically going to a location and meeting them. So say you go to the bar, right? Mm-hmm. And you see this girl, you think she's cute, cool, you go try to talk to her. Mm-hmm. She might not be into it at all, just based off of how you approach her.
Women say
whatever.
No more than men.
Right. So, but if you're in a dating app, you could have said, essentially, you could walk up to and talk to 10 different chicks at the exact same time, and your chances of getting one of them to say hello back to you is much higher than it is with going to the bar and personally doing that. So I think it's significantly easier just due to math for trying to find somebody on a dating app in comparison to in face-to-face. Oh.
I still don't understand because I was trying to listen to you and read this.
Yeah, I read it after, which gave us a little pause. But...
Yeah, I'll cut it. So I think that there is more. You're right that you are able to lie more, but it does not mean that you get more sex. So
you don't think people are having sex more nowadays than they were before?
I think people are sleeping around a lot more, and I think there are a lot of different factors that play into that.
Agreed.
That we can't talk about because
in this video.
Yeah, well, in this video or possibly on this channel.
Well,
because it doesn't completely relate to dating as general. It's more of a societal thing. No, they can't, though, because they eventually have to meet in person. Our producer just said they can be whoever they want online, and you can be. Mm-hmm. As soon as you meet them in person, you're going. All your expectations are all of your lies go out the window.
If they're physical lies. If you're just like playing a part,
but
a lot of
times,
actors do.
A lot of times, people will play, or will fake what they look like. I was talking to a woman this past Saturday. My neighbors had a friend or something like that. What day is it? It's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking to my neighbor and one of their friends on Saturday, and she was complaining. She was lamenting that a lot of the guys on dating apps, because she's older, a lot of the dating, those pictures will be like 20 years old. Prescription: don't do that. Just be as honest as possible. But she was like, all these photos are like 10, 20 years ago, or whatever, and they'll be holding their little girl or whatever, and the little girl's now in college or something like that, because it's a 20-year-old picture, wow. so they're quite a bit older, and so yes, you can lie physically, especially in that, because you still look the same. Like, I'm unfortunately still gonna look the same when I'm 40 as when I'm 50 that I do right now, except maybe a few more wrinkles, circles and stuff like that, right? So you can lie physically. In terms of lying, about who you are and personality, you could do that in person, or you can do that online.
Right. Well, that's what I feel like we were both more so talking about, is online you can pretend to be exactly the person that they think they're looking for. You can do that in person as well, but you can do it online with many different people at the same time. So it makes it so your chances are significantly higher. Instead of just spending all night talking to this one girl, trying to get her to, go back home with you, you're talking to like 10 chicks at the same time, and one of them eventually like latches on a little bit more, so you focus on that one, boom, you're good. Like, I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can. I just don't think that I think that people are having way more sex nowadays,
right,
than they were, say, 10 or 20 years ago, right?
Agreed.
I don't think that dating apps have played as big of a role in that as we think.
So you're saying pretty much you think it's more of just like a society change.
I think there are more society, because dating apps do open you up to a ton more people that you would have never, like we talked about in the last video, a ton more people that you would have never been able to talk to. Yes. But it does not mean that they're going to say yes.
For sure.
Like for guys, a majority of women will say no to you.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm coming at it from.
Okay.
And we'll probably just make another video about it, because my screen went to sleep. So, all right. So, and I guess we did kind of talk about this. Are there mental constraints that develop when you sleep with someone?
Yeah, we did talk about that, and I kind of said, I mean, you're right. There are. There's proven science to back up that when you sleep with somebody, that your thoughts on and your perception of them changes. So that is a thing. But I do think that, as your, level of, emotional intelligence and all that goes up, that you can still kind of control yourself to an extent. Like, you can recognize that because we slept together, I feel this way, but that doesn't mean you have to go along with that. Like, you're not a slave to that. I
just think that we think about that type of stuff a lot more than the average person does. I really do. I don't think the average person thinks, okay, and they aren't like aware enough to say, okay, we've had sex, so now I feel this way about this person, or man, like we had sex, and like, all right, now she said this thing, and like I'm kind of letting that slide, and I really shouldn't, right? People aren't as self-aware. That's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, is why that's not why I say wait. Right. I say wait because I want to have kids, and the result of having sex is kids, unless you use birth control or condoms, and those aren't even perfect, right? And so if something happens where you have a kid with somebody and you disagree on how to raise your kids, that's the most detrimental thing for me, and I refuse to raise my kids in any other environment but a 2-parent household.
Gotcha.
I refuse to do that.
That's fair.
And so I'm just like, listen, I'm a wait, because my kids are going to be the most important thing to me. This is why I built 2 companies, technically 4, because I'm going to kill one, but 3. Companies, and I'm trying to build a life, right? So that they can come into this world and say, all right, cool, now we're gonna make you into a really dope human being, and you're gonna understand how I got here,
right?
And so on and so forth.
Yeah,
right?
Fair enough.
And I refuse to just do that without a 2-parent household.
No, that's fair. I think that's good. And I think, getting back to that, yes, as a general thing, I could definitely see that most people aren't going to think of it that way and aren't going to be aware of their biases, coming into play and changing things.
Yeah.
So, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, again, like, there is no hard and fast rule.
Mm-hmm.
There is no hard and fast rule. I just highly suggest you wait as long as possible before you have sex. That's the Shawn recommendation. The Clifford recommendation is go based off of feeling. And
just go with the flow, man.
And that feeling may be right now, or that feeling may be never. I'm not a fan of going off a feeling all the time because I get messed up all the time, but this is why we have these conversations.
Just go with the flow.
Anyways,
and beware of the flow. Just go with it, man.
Anyways, to end this, I'm Shawn Ball, CEO of Steady.
I'm Cliffy B, the CMO of Steady.
You guys have a great rest of your day, night, or whatever.